as a musician. No? And so after half a year, I'd go back to Germany with a pair of tabla, with a pair of pajamas and kurta, and everybody thought, what happened to this person? It was then it was a completely new thing that someone from Germany went to India to learn Indian music, etc. It was rather far-fetched from the usual career. And I wanted to change my courses of studies. I had just passed the first exams, about half of the chemistry and biology course. I wanted to study Sanskrit. I wanted to learn North Indian languages. I wanted to learn anthropology, and I wanted to study musicology and ethnomusicology. And finally, I managed to get some financial support from the government for this. I had to finish biology and chemistry and do this side by side. And there was also marriage. Our daughter announced herself. And so all these things came together. But somehow in young age you can do many things. Yeah. I'm astonished now when I look back how all this was possible. My wife was a medical doctor. Only, we were both students in the beginning, very poor. But it was so wonderful that our daughter, when she arrived, she was just so lovely. And she participated in everything, especially in my tabla practice. Mm-hmm. When I practiced, I did this for hours every day. She slept on my lap. And even today, she's now 49. When she listens to Indian music, she falls asleep just like that. Boop. Mm-hmm. Off.
Were you into music before all of this? Before you traveled to India?
There was always music in my life. My mother, when I was a small child, too, started singing songs with me. And I automatically took the second voice. In Western music, you have these harmonies.
Yeah.
So you take the second voice, and to make it more interesting, she knew hundreds of songs. And so we singing together with the mother. This is just such a blessing. And then at 4, I learned to play the recorder, a type of flute, mm-hmm. Which was played in Baroque music. And I had a very good teacher. I had a very beautiful lady. She was, red hair, mm-hmm. red golden hair, mm-hmm. flowing down. And she was, even as a small child, you just could only adore her. And of course, I tried to learn as much as possible. So I knew Western notation. When I entered school, I could play this instrument. In our house, there was a piano, as it was in most middle-class houses at that time in Germany. And I taught myself how to play this instrument, just basic. And when I was 10 or 9, there was a famous conductor entering our school, and he selected good singers for his professional choir. This was a choir for church music, and I was selected. So we got special voice training from a professional soprano, alto singer for half a year, and then we were allowed to join the rehearsals, and we went on tour every year, etc. So this was such a fantastic experience. You might have heard of Johann Sebastian Bach, the greatest of all Western composers, who died in 1750. He composed mostly church music, and we sang his greatest compositions. These oratoria last for 3 hours, and in churches, this fantastic acoustical. So, the churches were built for acoustical reasons, that the music and the liturgy and etc. would really affect the listeners emotionally. And it affects also the singers. And we, of course, had to breathe all the time and stand, and all the time there was, these choir boys were just getting unconscious and falling down, and whomps. To me, this did not happen, but when we had the first rehearsal with orchestra, I was so much struck by the beauty of the music that I forgot to sing. And, big orchestra, 100 people, playing and singing, and the conductor saw this, and he called my name. He said, Gert Matthias, and smiled very nicely. So he knew what happened to me. So, of course, I immediately jumped to to my duty and continued to sing. No? But this was a decisive moment that I will never forget. When the music enwraps you, just, and fantastic experience. I was just 10 years old. Mm-hmm. So then I got piano lessons from a professional teacher, and for 3 years. And then I was too lazy because she insisted on Beethoven, and I didn't like Beethoven.
Why?
I had heard too much of it, and this type of music didn't appeal to me. So we stopped the lessons, and then I jumped straight 100 years ahead in the history of Western music into Debussy and Ravel, the French composers, so-called impressionist music. And this was my cup of tea. I absolutely loved it, and I played myself through the repertoire, also Romantic period and modern period. And, just doing it on my own. I had this basic technique, but I never thought I would study music. Because in Germany, it was just, most people did music, Western classical music. Not most people, many people that I knew at least, did this at home, for home entertainment. And later, of course, you had pop bands like the Beatles and etc. So then a new era started. But until then, it was fairly common that young people learned with other family members, with parents, and did Western music and played music for 3 or 4 instruments, etc. This is called chamber music. And the best composers gave their best in composing such compositions. So there's a vast repertoire of such things. Anyway, so then chemistry already started, and it was only when I came to Bombay to meet Pandit Nikhil Ghosh. And
did you go to Bombay to meet him, or did you meet him accidentally?
Accidentally.
Okay.
But if I may say so, according to our German poet Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, you have a Goethe Institute here. Life, the carpet of life, is composed of 2 different strains. One is the strain of bare necessities, no? And then this other weave comes in. This is coincidences and chances that are given, or it can be rejected or taken, no? So, and when you're at the crossroads of these 2 strains, you need a very good judgment. And, especially when you're young, you mistake your emotional leanings for the messages of fate or something, no? So I was so glad that I took the right decision to learn from this great master. And I never regretted this. So this was actually what gave me the chance later, after doing the PhD in Germany, University of Cologne and Bonn, to become a member of the Nepal research program, which went on for 10 years. There were 30 scholars from Europe, and this was funded by the German Research Council. We had an office in Ganabahal and a driver and Nepali staff who helped us with visas and with connection to Tribhuvan University for all these practical things and for introducing us to local counterparts, etc. So this was very valuable help